Hello, my name is Jamie Pish, and today I'm going to be talking about the organism Bacillus anthracis, the causative agent of the disease anthrax. Taxonomy. Bacillus anthracis was discovered after its disease, anthrax. Because of this fact, its epithet, anthracis, is named after the disease. Its genus came from its shape of bacillus, as well as its similarity to other bacillus species, such as Bacillus cereus. Bacillus anthracis is similar to these in pathogenicity caused by the similarities in their capsules and toxin-producing capabilities. Genetic nuance. One of the large genetic nuances of Bacillus anthracis is its S-layer proteins. These proteins are in two layers, a surface active protein, or SAP, and an EA1, which is a surface antigen. Its capsule, poly-D-glutamic acid, or PGA, is a polysaccharide that is antiphagocytic and resistant to mammal proteases. Its plasmids are PXO1, which aids in toxin formation by insertion of genetic material, and PXO2, which uses replication proteins to form the capsule. Similarities between this and other Bacillus species means that B. anthracis could be a biovar of Bacillus cereus. Physiology. Bacillus anthracis is a gram-positive aerobic heterotroph that thrives on nutrients and iron absorption from dead and decaying animals and soil. They reproduce asexually by binary fission in a 6-stage process inside the host. This reproduction causes the production of lethal byproducts, including edema factor, lethal factor, and protective antigen. Environment. The spores of Bacillus anthracis can survive in many types of extreme environments. They primarily live in soil and use dead animals for nutrition. Nucleic acid detection has recently been used to figure out how much of these spores are present in any given soil. Aerobic or anaerobic survival allows the bacteria to have a wide range of areas, and nutrient depletion triggers the spore formation. High amounts of iron is needed for survival, meaning blood is the perfect breeding ground. Pathogenicity. Bacillus anthracis is a true pathogen with varying ID50s. Digestion methods in the body mean that oral ingestion requires a larger number of spores in order to show symptoms in a population, and there is not yet enough information to find the ID50 for inhalation and anthrax. Infectivity. Infected water and soil is the primary method of transmission of this disease. It is not transmissible from human to human, and therefore there is no reproductive value. However, it can spread quickly within populations due to common food and drink areas in a community. Virulence. The three byproducts produced during reproduction provide for much of the lethality of the bacteria. Protective antigen primes the bacteria for entry into the host's immune system, edema factor plays a role in cell death, and lethal factor kills tissue and stops blood flow to the heart. The three exposure types each have different lethality rates. Inhalation has an 80% mortality, gastrointestinal has a 25 to 75%, and subcutaneous is 20%. Its capsule contributes greatly to its virulence and provides antiphagocytic properties. Descriptive epidemiology. Male and females were affected at the same rates, and educated people are much less likely to become infected than are uneducated. This is most likely due to the occupations of uneducated people in the population studied. Rural areas have larger amounts of infection because of shared water and food sources. Citizens in rural areas are also much more likely to engage in high-risk activities for anthrax infection. People at the highest risks for infection are people who work with dead animals, sheep herders, and military personnel. Dead animals are most likely to be infected, making people who interact with them at a high risk. Sheep herders have the same risk, as they interact with sheep that may have been infected, while military personnel are at risk for traveling to areas that are highly affected. Odds ratios show that those who work with animal carcasses, have a history of travel, or use home slaughter methods are at very high risks of infection compared to people who do not engage in these behaviors. Signs and symptoms. Anthrax infections can present in 3 ways. Cutaneous infection presents as a raised bump similar to a bug bite and inflamed lymph nodes. Gastrointestinal infection causes nausea, loss of appetite, fever, headache, and bloody diarrhea in the most extreme cases. Pulmonary infection starts as flu-like symptoms and has chest discomfort and coughing up blood in the most severe. Treatment and management. Treatment is most effective when given at first notice of symptoms, and intervention must occur within 7 days of exposure. A 60-day antibiotic regimen is the most common post-exposure treatment, but more specific treatment can be given based on the age and health level of the person. Prevention. The post-exposure vaccine is only effective up to 7 days after exposure, and the only current approved vaccine by the FDA is called BioThrax. It has a 93% effectiveness rate when it is taken within the 7 days. Because anthrax is such a huge bioterrorist threat, the CDC has a very specific protocol for dealing with a possible attack. Pods, or points of dispensing, are designated throughout each state to be the places where citizens can receive the vaccine. Cutaneous infection can be avoided by avoiding touching items potentially infected with spores. Gastrointestinal infection can be avoided by thoroughly cooking meat, and because there is no way to control wind, there is no way to prevent inhalation exposure if it is released into the air. Since the 2001 terrorist attacks using Bacillus Anthracis as a weapon, the United States government has taken many precautions to lessen the devastation that could potentially come from another attack. We are not yet able to eradicate the spores from the soil, but with more research and intervention in developing countries, places such as the United States can reduce the number of anthrax-related deaths per year. And here is a list of the references used throughout the presentation. Thanks. Have a good day.